Every single one of you watching this right now has something inside you that the world hasn't seen yet. A version of you that's stronger, hungrier, and more powerful than anything you've shown so far. But the truth is, most people never meet that version. You know why? Because they quit too soon. They lose focus. They start strong and fade out. They let emotions, distractions, and comfort kill their consistency. You see, everyone wants success until they realize what it demands. Discipline, repetition, and doing the same thing with excellence every single day, even when nobody's watching. That's what separates the talkers from the doers. That's what builds greatness. The problem with most people is that they chase intensity, not consistency. They want the fire without the fuel. They go hard for a week, a month, maybe even a year. Then they disappear. But the real killers, they show up every single day. They do the work whether it's raining or shining, whether they feel like it or not, because they understand that consistency isn't about excitement. It's about commitment. It's about showing the universe that you're serious. And when you show up with that kind of discipline, when you prove that nothing can shake your focus, that's when life starts to move in your favor. You've got to understand something. Success doesn't come to the most talented. It comes to the most consistent. Talent gives you a head start, but consistency finishes the race. You can have all the potential in the world, but if you're not consistent, it means nothing. Because life doesn't reward effort once. It rewards effort repeated. It rewards those who wake up, lock in, and keep building brick by brick, even when progress feels invisible. Every repetition, every small act of discipline, every day you decide to push instead of pause. It compounds. It adds up. It creates momentum that cannot be stopped. You want to change your life? And stop chasing motivation and start mastering consistency. Motivation is temporary. Consistency is permanent. Motivation fades when the pain hits, when the excitement dies, when things don't go your way. But consistency, that's what keeps you going when everything else tells you to stop. It's the voice inside that says, I started this and I'm not quitting until it's done. That's the fire you need. That's the mindset that separates the great from the average. So before this speech even begins, ask yourself one question. Are you ready to be consistent when it's no longer fun? Are you ready to show up on the days you feel empty, tired, broken, or uninspired? Because that's what it takes. That's where real transformation begins. This isn't about hype. It's about hunger. It's about deciding right now that you're done starting over, done quitting halfway, done waiting for the perfect time. This is your time. This is your moment to lock in, stay consistent, and prove to yourself, not the world, that you've got what it takes to finish what you started. Most people never reach their potential because they rely on how they feel to decide what they do. They wait for motivation to kick in. They wait for inspiration to arrive. They wait for the perfect moment when everything feels right. But that moment never comes. If you only act when you feel good, you will never be consistent enough to build anything great. Because greatness doesn't live in your emotions. It lives in your discipline. Consistency is not about being excited every day. It's about showing up even when your emotions try to convince you not to. It's about doing what needs to be done when you're tired, frustrated, bored, or unmotivated. Discipline is what bridges the gap between dreams and reality. There are going to be days when you wake up and everything in your body screams, or not today. You'll look at the clock, you'll feel that weight in your chest, and your mind will whisper, or just rest, you can do it tomorrow. But here's the truth, those are the moments that define you. Anyone can show up when it's easy, when they're excited, when things are working in their favor. The difference between those who win and those who stay stuck is that the winners act on commitment, not emotion. They don't let their mood decide their movement. They let their purpose decide their pace. Think about it. Every great athlete, every high performer, every person who has ever achieved something extraordinary, they rely on feeling good every day. They build systems, routines, and habits that force them to stay consistent no matter how they felt. They train their minds to follow through regardless of the emotion of the moment. That's what discipline is. Training yourself to act according to what you said you would do long after the emotion you felt when you said it has faded. Feelings are temporary. Discipline is forever. When you build your life around discipline, you stop being controlled by your circumstances. Most people live reactionary lives. They wake up late because they didn't feel like getting up. They skip the gym because they didn't have the energy. They procrastinate because they weren't in the right headspace. What they don't realize is that every time they give into those emotions, they're reinforcing weakness. They're teaching their brain that comfort is more important than progress. And the more you listen to that voice, the quieter your purpose becomes. The more you feed your excuses, the hungrier your regret grows. But when you decide to operate out of discipline, everything changes. You wake up before you want to because you said you would. You do the work not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. You don't negotiate with laziness, you dominate it. Discipline means you become the kind of person who does what needs to be done regardless of how you feel about it. That's what separates the elite from the average. The average person lets emotions lead. The elite person lets purpose lead. Let's be honest, feelings are liars. They change with the weather, they shift with your environment, and they disappear when things get hard. You can't trust them to build your future. If you rely on feelings, you'll be inconsistent, and inconsistency kills potential. You'll take one step forward and two steps back every time life gets uncomfortable. But if you build your foundation on discipline, you'll keep moving forward no matter what storms come your way. Discipline doesn't care about comfort. Discipline doesn't care about mood. Discipline is a decision that you renew every single day. The truth is, real discipline hurts. It's uncomfortable, it's demanding, and it will stretch you beyond what you thought you could handle. But that pain is where the magic happens. Because every time you do something you didn't feel like doing, you grow stronger. Every time you silence the voice of comfort, you sharpen your focus. Every time you choose the grind over the excuse, you build resilience. Discipline is not punishment. It's preparation. It's the training ground for greatness. It's how you transform your potential into power. Look at anyone who's achieved mastery. Musicians, entrepreneurs, athletes, leaders, they all share one thing in common: consistency through discipline. They didn't get there by accident. They built daily habits that turned into lifelong success. They sacrificed temporary comfort for long-term results. They didn't rely on passion alone, because passion fades when pain arrives. Discipline is what keeps you moving when passion runs out. Passion ignites the fire. Discipline keeps it burning when the wind blows. You've got to understand that your emotions are not the enemy, but they can be in charge. Feel them, but don't obey them. You can be tired and still take action. You can be afraid and still move forward. You can be unmotivated and still execute. That's power. When you act in spite of how you feel. Because every time you do, you strengthen your character. You build trust in yourself. You prove to your own mind that your word means something. And that kind of self-trust is rare. It's sacred. It's sacred. When you know you can rely on yourself to do what you said you do, no matter what, you become unstoppable. Discipline also builds momentum. The first few days might be hard, but as you keep showing up, it becomes your identity. It becomes automatic. You stop thinking about whether or not to do it. You just do it. That's how consistency is born. It's not from motivation. It's from repetition. The more you push through those emotional blocks, the less power they have over you. Eventually, the same things that used to break you become your warm-up. The same challenges that used to drain you start to fuel you. Because once you've proven to yourself that you can do hard things, the fear of difficulty disappears. There's no secret formula to success. There's no shortcut. Simple. Do the work every single day, whether you feel like it or not. You won't always see progress immediately, but trust me, it's happening. Every disciplined action compounds. Every choice to stay consistent builds momentum that one day explodes into visible results. That's how mountains are moved, one disciplined step at a time. So when your emotions start to scream, when your mind says, take it easy, you've got to remind yourself why you started. Remind yourself that discipline is the language of winners, that every time you follow through, you're separating yourself from the crowd. Because the truth is, most people quit when it gets hard. That's why the top is so empty. Consistency through discipline is what gets you there. You're not always going to feel ready, but you can always be disciplined. You're not always going to feel strong, but you can always take one more step. You're not always going to feel confident, but you can always choose courage over comfort. The choice is yours. Let your emotions control you, or let your purpose come. Because at the end of the day, Emotions fade, but discipline lasts forever. And if you want to build something that lasts, it's a legacy, a dream, a version of yourself that cannot be broken. It starts with showing up no matter how you feel. That's what true consistency looks like. That's what separates talkers from doers, dreamers from achievers, and the average from the unstoppable. Consistency isn't built in a moment. It's forged through the small, repetitive choices that no one sees. It's not about the big moves you make when everyone's watching. It's about the little actions you take when no one's clapping. Too many people underestimate the power of doing small things right every single day. They want results overnight. They want transformation without repetition. But life doesn't work like that. Growth happens slowly, silently, through constant, deliberate action. Every rep, every word written, every early morning, every disciplined choice, they stack up. Day after day, brick after brick, they create a foundation so strong that nothing can shake it. That's what consistency really is. A collection of ordinary moments done with extraordinary commitment. Most people quit not because they lack talent, but because they can't handle the boredom of consistency. They get excited at the beginning. The idea of change lights them up. They make plans, set goals, and feel unstoppable for a few days. But the moment the excitement fades, so does their effort. They chase new ideas instead of mastering the old ones. They want progress without patience. But the truth is, real consistency is not glamorous. It's gritty. It's waking up to do the same thing again and again, even when it feels like nothing's changing. It's having faith in the process when the results are invisible. Because those invisible days are the ones that shape you. Every time you repeat the right action, even when you don't see results, you're strengthening your discipline. You're building trust with yourself. You're programming your mind to understand that progress isn't a one-time event. It's a lifestyle. The people who succeed in life aren't necessarily the smartest. They're the ones who refuse to stop. They've learned to fall in love with the process, not the reward. Because they know the reward will come eventually, but only if the process becomes who they are. Think about it. Every skill you admire in someone, their strength, their focus, their confidence, all came from repetition. No one wakes up strong. No one wakes up disciplined. These are things that are built through daily repetition of the small habits that most people overlook. The bodybuilder doesn't get strong from one workout. The artist doesn't create mastery from one painting. The speaker doesn't build influence from one speech. It's the consistency in their repetition that builds greatness over time. But repetition is uncomfortable. It's repetitive by nature. It tests your patience and challenges your focus. It feels like you're running in circles when in reality you're building momentum. It's easy to underestimate how much those small, seemingly insignificant actions matter. But every drop of effort counts. Every small action compounds. Every single day you show up adds weight to your progress. Most people stop just before the compounding begins. They don't realize that success doesn't show up immediately. It grows underground quietly until one day it breaks through the surface and everyone calls it sudden. But there's no sudden success. There's only consistent repetition. You've got to train your mind to see the value in repetition. You have to learn to embrace the grind that comes with doing the same thing over and over again, because that's where mastery is built. Every day you repeat a discipline, you make it easier to do the next time. Your mind becomes sharper, your habit stronger, your commitment deeper. Over time, what was once hard becomes effortless. What was once a struggle becomes your standard. That's how you grow. Not through random bursts of effort, but through the steady rhythm of discipline. Consistency through repetition also teaches resilience, because there will be days when you do everything right and nothing seems to happen. Days when you work hard and still feel stuck. Those are the days that test your faith in the process. But if you keep showing up, if you keep repeating your actions even when it feels pointless, you're developing something far greater than results. You're developing character. You're proving to yourself that your word means something. That your goals aren't just wishes, they're promises. You have to remember that repetition is how you rewire your mind. Every time you repeat a positive action, you're strengthening the neural pathway in your brain that supports that behavior. You're literally programming yourself for success. The more you repeat the right actions, the more natural they become. Soon, it's not something you have to force. It's just who you are. You no longer have to try to be disciplined. You are disciplined. You no longer have to try to be focused. You live in focus. That transformation doesn't happen overnight, but it happens inevitably when you keep doing the work. The danger comes when people confuse repetition with stagnation. They think doing the same thing means they're not growing, but repetition isn't about staying still. It's about refining your craft. Every time you repeat something, you have the chance to do it better, to go deeper, to master the details, to understand what works and what doesn't. Repetition gives you control over your growth. It allows you to build something solid instead of chasing shortcuts that crumble under pressure. The people who become legends aren't the ones who worked hard once. They're the ones who worked hard forever. They didn't just show up for a season. They showed up for a lifetime. They made repetition their identity. You have to develop that same mentality, that same relentless approach. You have to say to yourself, I'll do it again and again until I get it right. Because that's what separates wishful thinkers from true believers. True believers stay consistent, even when they're tired, even when they're tired, even when the world doesn't notice. There's a kind of beauty in repetition if you look at it the right way. It's not punishment, it's practice. It's proof that you're committed enough to keep showing up. It's the difference between temporary effort and permanent success. Because temporary effort fades, but consistency compounds. Every time you repeat the right action, you're feeding a momentum that will one day carry you to the top. When you look at your life right now, you can trace every success you've ever had back to something you did repeatedly. And you can trace every failure back to something you stopped doing. The pattern is simple. What you repeat, you become. If you repeat excuses, you become a quitter. If you repeat action, you become unstoppable. Your habits are the blueprint of your destiny. And the only way to change your future is to change what you do daily. So stop chasing the next big thing. Stop waiting for some miracle of motivation. And focus on what you can do today, and then do it again tomorrow, and again the next day. Don't look for excitement. Look for consistency. Don't look for motivation. Look for repetition. Because the person who repeats with purpose will always outlast the person who starts with passion. Passion fades, repetition remains. At the end of the day, repetition is how you prove your hunger. Anybody can talk about goals. Anybody can say they want to win. But only those who are willing to do the same hard thing every single day, without applause, without attention, without immediate results, only they become unstoppable. Every small effort you make, every action you repeat is building a future version of you that's unrecognizable from who you are today. So keep going, keep repeating, keep stacking the small wins until they become something massive. Because one day when the world sees your success, they'll call it talent, but you'll know the truth. It wasn't talent, it was consistency through repetition. The truth about consistency is this: it will test everything inside you. It will test your patience, your willpower, your focus, and your belief in yourself. Because being consistent isn't just about showing up when things are easy. It's about staying locked in when everything in your life is trying to pull you off course. There will be days when you're exhausted, when nothing seems to be working, when the people around you doubt you, when the results don't match the effort. And that's when most people quit. But consistency is not about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about getting up again and again, no matter how many times you fall, no matter how slowly you move, no matter how heavy the journey feels. The strongest people in this world aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who refuse to stay down. When life gets tough, your emotions will try to control you. You'll feel tired, frustrated, unmotivated. You'll start questioning yourself, wondering if what you're doing even matters. But the ones who stay consistent are the ones who've trained their minds to rise above those emotions. They don't let feelings dictate their actions. They let discipline take the lead. Because motivation is temporary. It comes and goes like the wind. But discipline is a decision. Discipline is the anchor that keeps you steady when the storm hits. When you build consistency through discipline, you stop relying on how you feel and you start depending on who you are. You become someone who doesn't just talk about goals. You live them. The battle for consistency is fought in silence. It's not the loud moments that define you. It's the quiet ones. Those mornings when no one is watching, those nights when you're alone with your thoughts, those days when it would be easier to just give up. That's where you either build strength or surrender to weakness. Most people give up in those quiet moments because they crave instant gratification. They want proof that their effort is paying off. But life doesn't reward you immediately. Life rewards those who stay committed long enough to earn it. You can't plant a seed and expect a tree the next morning. You have to water it every single day, even when nothing seems to be growing. Because growth doesn't happen above the ground first. It happens beneath it. Consistency is a long-term game. You have to be willing to stay consistent long after the excitement has faded. It's easy to be committed when you feel inspired, but true consistency shows up when the inspiration is gone. It's doing the work when it's boring. It's showing up when no one claps. It's pushing forward when progress feels invisible. The ones who make it aren't the ones who never struggle. They're the ones who keep moving forward despite the struggle. They've made a decision deep in their soul that no matter how slow it gets, no matter how many times they stumble, they will not stop. That's what separates winners from the rest. Winners don't need to feel good to do good. They just keep going. There's something powerful about staying consistent in a world that constantly distracts you. Everyone wants quick results, quick fame, quick success. But the truth is, anything that comes quickly usually leaves quickly too. Real success is built brick by brick, day by day, through effort and endurance. It's built through the boring repetitions, the sacrifices, the late nights, and the early mornings. It's built through doing what most people won't do for as long as it takes. The problem is, most people want to be great, but they don't want to grind. They want the reward, not the responsibility. But you can't cheat consistency. You can't skip the steps. If you want lasting success, you got to earn it through daily commitment. Cool, daily commitment. There will be seasons in your life when staying consistent feels impossible. You'll question everything. You'll feel like you're wasting your time. You'll look around and see others moving faster, getting more recognition, achieving more, and it'll tempt you to quit. But comparison is the enemy of consistency. You can't stay focused on your path if your eyes are always on someone else's. Their timeline is not yours. Their story is not yours. You have to trust your process. You have to believe that every step you take, no matter how small, is moving you closer to where you're supposed to be. Success isn't about speed. It's about endurance. It's not about how fast you start. It's about how long you can keep going when it gets hard. The people who keep showing up even when they don't see results, those are the ones who eventually rise. Because consistency compounds. Every small effort adds up. Every small choice you make in the right direction builds momentum. And one day, all those unseen days, all those small steps, all those moments you didn't quit, they'll turn into something extraordinary. You'll look back and realize that the growth didn't happen in a single moment. It happened slowly, quietly, through every single act of persistence. But you have to make peace with the fact that progress won't always be visible. Sometimes it'll feel like you're stuck in the same place. Sometimes it'll feel like your effort isn't enough. But those moments are deceptive because even when you can't see progress on the outside, something powerful is happening on the inside. You're getting stronger. You're building character. You're learning patience, focus, and endurance. You're becoming the kind of person who doesn't break under pressure. That's the real reward of consistency. Not just what you achieve, but who you become while you're fighting for it. There's no shortcut to greatness. Every champion, every leader, every success story you've ever admired, they've all been through seasons of silent struggle and doubt, but they stayed consistent. They kept pushing through the pain, the boredom, the setbacks. They didn't let their emotions or circumstances define their effort. They understood that success is not built in bursts, it's built in layers. And each layer takes time, patience, and relentless commitment. So when it gets hard, and it will, remind yourself why you started. Remind yourself of the vision that set your soul on fire. Remind yourself that greatness isn't achieved in one day. It's achieved by showing up every day. You're not competing with anyone else. You're competing with the weaker version of yourself that wants to give up. Every day you stay consistent, you defeat that version of you. Every day you show up, you take another step toward mastery. Consistency is the ultimate form of faith. Faith in your purpose, faith in your process, faith in yourself. Because you're saying, I might not see the results right now, but I know they're coming. I might not be where I want to be yet, but I'm on my way. That's what real confidence looks like. It's not loud, it's not showy. It's quiet, steady, and unshakable. And here's the truth. The world doesn't reward those who start strong. It rewards those who finish strong. And finishing strong takes consistency. It takes the kind of grit that doesn't disappear when the spotlight fades. It takes showing up again and again until you become so good that you can't be ignored. Because the world may not notice you today, but one day it will. And when it does, it'll realize that your success wasn't luck. It was built through the quiet power of consistency. Listen to me. This is your moment. This is the time where you decide who you're going to be when the world stops watching. Because success doesn't come from what you do once in a while. It comes from what you do every single day when no one's looking, when no one's cheering, when no one believes in you but you. You've got to look yourself in the mirror and make a promise that from this day forward, you're done talking about it. You're done waiting for motivation. You're done making excuses. You're going to be consistent no matter what it costs. Because your dream doesn't owe you anything. You owe it everything. You owe it your time, your focus, your discipline, your sacrifice. There's a reason why most people never make it to the top. It's not because they're not talented. It's because they don't stay long enough to see the reward. They stop when it gets hard. They stop when they get tired. They stop when the pain starts whispering that it's easier to quit. But champions, they keep going. They know that consistency is the bridge between ordinary and extraordinary. Every rep you take, every page you write, every early morning and late night, it's building something inside you that no one can take away. Because when you do something day after day, it doesn't just change your results, it changes who you are. It makes you sharper, tougher, and hungrier. And here's the truth. The world doesn't remember the ones who tried and quit. It remembers the ones who refused to stop. The ones who showed up, even when everything was falling apart. The ones who believed in themselves enough to stay the course. That's how you win. Not by luck, not by talent, by staying consistent when it hurts. You've got to dig deep into that place inside of you where excuses die, where comfort doesn't exist, and pull out the version of yourself that's ready to do whatever it takes. That's the person who wins. That's the person who turns dreams into reality. So from this moment, I'll make a decision. No more half effort, no more waiting for the right time. The right time is now. The perfect moment is today. If you're serious about greatness, you can't treat it like an option. You've got to treat it like oxygen. Something you can't live without. Every day you wake up, you have two choices. Stay the same or get better. One path gives you comfort, the other gives you growth. But never both. Choose growth. Choose to grind. Choose to stay consistent even when the world tells you to slow down. Because one day you're going to look back, and every sacrifice, every lonely night, every early morning will make sense. You'll realize that you didn't just build success, you built character. You didn't just win once. You won every single day by showing up when you didn't feel like it. That's the secret. That's how you separate yourself from the rest. You don't wait for the opportunity. You become the opportunity. You don't hope to win. You grind until you can't lose. And when that moment comes, when your results finally match your effort, the world will finally see what you already knew. That consistency was never your weakness. It was your power all along.